What's up guys, it's Dan from the Headwaters Kayak Shop. Aquabound hooked me up with their new Whiskey Carbon paddle. This is their full carbon high angle paddle blade. It's a 205, which is just what I'm used to using. It's got the posi lock ferrule, which we're used to seeing on their Aquabound paddles. It's brand new for 2018, and the Aquabound rep left it with me yesterday, and I'm going to get to put it through its paces today and kind of give you guys a little bit of feedback. Now, it's only fair to compare it to what I'm used to. For the past 7 or 8 years, this is the paddle I've been using. That is a Werner Shuna, also a 205, carbon shaft, fiberglass blades. The first thing you're going to notice between these two paddles is the dihedral on this paddle. You see that little line up the middle of the paddle? That's going to provide some more scoop, but it also could make the paddle be a little bit more catchy in the water when you're doing knifing strokes, like draw strokes or ruddering strokes, or sometimes when you're linking things together. So that'll be the one thing I'm not sure of. You see, the Shuna I've been using for a long time is a very flat surface area and a kind of a squared out backside. So it tends to really knife and slide through the water really well. It's one of the things I like about this paddle. So it'll be interesting to see how this compares. If we were to put these two paddles side by side, very similar size-wise. This one's right in between the size of the Shuna and the Aikilos. The Whiskey is a little bit shorter, a little bit fatter, so even a little bit more aggressive high angle than the Shuna. I think I'm going to like that a lot. Alright, so we're going to hit the water. I'm going to go for a paddle and just give you guys my feedback along the way. So the boat I'm paddling for today's test is an Eddy line Denali. This is kind of my go-to for flat water trips out here on the McCollum. It's big, it's stable, it's really comfortable for a guy my size. I'm 6'2", 220, and it's also really graceful on the water. So I'm going to be using that today, and I think it'll kind of highlight some of the paddle strokes that I want to do. So first thing I'll say is it feels effortlessly light in your hand. So time for a paddle swap. I just finished up with the Aquabound Whiskey, and I'm going to switch over to the Werner Shuna. So yeah, let's just give it a quick comparison and see how we do. Just looking at it from the surface, you can see this one's got a little bit more depth to the blade, a little bit shorter blade, maybe even a little more surface area altogether. But you know, in a lot of ways very comparable. Similar scoop. It's just the Aquabound is more dihedral. Let's swap it out and see how it compares. The first thing you notice, it doesn't have the initial catch of the Whiskey. It's when I'm doing strokes like that stern draw, where I really notice this paddle wanting to grip and feel the water on both the power face and the backside of the face, whereas the Whiskey tended to have like an inch or two of clunk kind of between faces. This one moves more seamlessly between the power face and the back face. And when you're talking you know, technical aggressive paddling, it really helps to know like where that transition is going to be, knowing that your paddle always has good support on the water. We'll switch the camera around here and get some shots from the front. So I got my Shuna again now. I got the bow facing from the front. So hopefully you can see what I'm doing with my paddle blade as I shift from blade to blade, power face to back face. Oh, here's a cool little zippy. One thing I really like about my Shuna is, even though it still has a ridge on the back, it's a fairly smooth ridge. So when I'm racing or carving on the water with my back face, I still have really good control and really good feel. It's nice and smooth. So if I take like a sweep stroke and I follow up the low brace, the Shuna really wants to glide across the water. And the whiskey, maybe it's just me getting used to it, but it feels a little clunkier going from back face to the power face towards like a slicing stroke. Just a little bit more cumbersome. That is one of the reasons I use a 205 paddle across the board though. Fairly high angle stroke, my top hand stays at about eye level. And then when I want to manipulate the paddle and go from a forward stroke to a braking stroke or to a draw stroke, it's really easy for me to flip around in the hands without having all this paddle out there in the water to get clumsy and get caught on. So if you're an aggressive paddler and you're still using a 220 paddle, say you owe it to yourself to check out something a little shorter, maybe a little bit more high angle. So this feels really good. I mean, it feels normal. The reason I've used the Shuna for the past, close to 10 years now, is because it feels like an extension of my body. It's substantial, it's burly, and it feels really, really good in the water. And it's a battle axe. Like you could literally kill a deer with this and still paddle home. All right, we're gonna swap out. I'm gonna switch back to the whiskey. All right, back to the whiskey. Again, full carbon with the T700 shaft, which is an extremely heavy duty weave that Aquabound does. Other subtle differences I noticed as I put this in my hand is a textured shaft, as opposed to the Werner, which has a smooth shaft. And the weight is, that's what's staggering. I mean, this paddle weighs literally nothing. Unbelievable. And the blade size and the catch feels really good too. Some of the more technical sections here. Whip this right around. Give the old inside edge. So the more I paddle, the more I'm like, is the Shuna just what's familiar and this feels a little different because of that, or is it the Dihedral? Initial thoughts is the catch feels amazing. You put this paddle in the water and you apply power and it wants to move the boat forward. Out of the water, you don't feel it. It's insanely light. I think if you're an aggressive paddler that wants to cover some miles, this is going to be an awesome paddle for you. Moving from those like stern draw strokes, you just definitely feel more bubbles coming off the paddle. It'll do everything a Shuna will do, it just doesn't feel as smooth. Yeah, and I kind of expected that. I mean, I was hoping to be pleasantly surprised about how nice, but I paddled enough to know that when you put that much dihedral on a paddle, it's going to be great for a lot of things, especially somebody learning. It's going to offer great catch, but it is going to create more aeration as you move it through the water. And that's true. It's definitely what I feel. All right, so after spending some time with both paddles, I think my heart still leans towards the Shuna for my personal style paddling. Now, I'm not here to tell you what you should buy. I'm here to tell you should try both and make a decision for yourself. With anything when it comes to kayaks, take what I say as a paddler as a grain of salt. Because I'm just that. I'm one person. I'm a paddler. I have my preferences. But you're going to have your own. You're going to have different things that are important to you. You may never be out there surfing or feathering your blade from your power face to your back face. For you, it may be about efficient, forward, all-day comfort. And in that case, I mean, I think the whiskey would be a better choice. It feels insanely light. Lighter than you can imagine. You owe it to yourself to pick this paddle up. It grips the water without you really having to think about paddle position. And it still does all the other strokes just fine. It's just that the Shuna does it better. With that said, big kudos to Aquabound for pushing the mold, doing something new and unique, and really saying, hey, we're going to be a major player in this high-end paddle game. I think that's going to conclude my vlog for today. And now I'm just going to go have fun and paddle around and put a few miles on this thing and see if I have any other opinions. But thank you guys so much for watching. I know it was a simple test. It was sort of just me paddling around. But hopefully you found it enlightening and that you got some information that will help you make your next paddle purchase decision. I appreciate you guys watching. As always, this is Dan Arbuckle from Headwaters Kayak, wishing you happy paddling. Spiderweb in the face.